Have you ever stopped to consider that the very thing silently dismantling your kidneys day after day is likely the exact same thing you casually enjoyed this morning without a shred of guilt? It's not alcohol. It's not cigarettes. It is the one substance we consume with absolute confidence that it is safe. Sugar. It is a slow-acting poison disguised in the most perfect, delicious way. While we worry about our waistlines or our teeth, the organ actually paying the highest price is your kidneys. These biological engines filter 50 gallons of blood every single day, and right now, they are under far more pressure than you realize. Most of us think we are healthy until we aren't. We assume that if something is breaking down inside us, we would feel pain. We would get a warning. But the kidneys are different. They are the stoic martyrs of the human body. They don't scream, they don't throb, and they don't send pain signals until it is nearly too late. Up to 70% of your kidney function can be completely destroyed before you feel a single symptom. That is why taking 30 days off sugar is not just a trendy diet challenge. It is a diagnostic test. It is a wake-up call. It is a second chance for your body's filtration system. When you eat that morning pastry or drink that sweetened latte, you might think the first place affected is your belly fat. It isn't. The very first organ to take the hit is the kidney. The mechanism is simple, but it is brutal. When glucose spikes in your blood, your kidneys are forced to increase their filtration speed to push that excess sugar out of your system. In the medical world, this is called glomerular hyperfiltration. That sounds technical, perhaps even positive. Filtering faster sounds efficient, right? Wrong. In human physiology, anything operating above its normal range is a massive red flag. Imagine you have a car. If you force that car to run at 100 miles per hour, non-stop, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, it might handle it for a few days. But after a month, the engine starts to overheat. After a year, the structural breakdown begins. Your kidneys are exactly the same. More sugar equals more episodes of hyperfiltration. This leads to structural damage. But here is the most dangerous part of this equation. Unlike a torn muscle or a headache, kidneys have almost no pain nerves. They cannot tell you they are dying. They cannot scream for help. By the time you finally feel fatigue, nausea, or notice swelling, typically half to 3/4 of your kidney function is already dead. This makes sugar the perfect silent destroyer. It works quietly. It works consistently. It leaves no obvious trace until the damage is done. This is why millions of young Americans, people who look fit and feel fine, are silently marching toward chronic kidney disease without a clue. It is not because they are eating too much salty fast food. It is not because they are dehydrated. It is because every day they consume sodas, sweet teas, iced coffees, energy drinks, and processed snacks, thinking these are just normal treats. They are not treats. They are forced overtime shifts you are imposing on your organs. The kidneys never complain, but they always keep the score. They calculate the debt quietly, and eventually they collect. The fascinating part of this story is what happens when you finally decide to stop. When someone decides to cut sugar, most people assume the results will take months. They think they need a long-term transformation to seek a change. But the body is far more responsive than that. Your body begins to react within the first 72 hours. Now, I have to be honest with you. Those first 3 days are chaotic. They are the hardest part of the journey. Your brain reacts first because to your brain, sugar is not just fuel. It is a reward. It is a drug. Your brain has become dependent on those fast dopamine hits from glucose. When you suddenly cut the supply, the brain protests. You will likely feel mild headaches. You might be irritable or experience emotional swings. You will have random, intense cravings for sweet drinks that seem to come out of nowhere. This is withdrawal. It is a genuine form of dopamine detox, but you must not view this discomfort as a negative thing. While your brain is throwing a tantrum, your kidneys are quietly breathing a sigh of relief. As your blood sugar drops, the kidneys no longer need to run in hyperfiltration mode. The pressure decreases. The nephrons, those tiny filtering units, finally get to rest instead of being forced into overdrive. This recovery happens remarkably fast. Just 24 to 72 hours is enough to make a biological difference. Science backs this up. When sugar intake drops, the levels of AGE, or advanced glycation end products, drop almost immediately. These are the nasty compounds that accelerate kidney aging. So even though your head might feel foggy and grumpy during those first 3 days, deep down at the cellular level, your kidneys have already begun their recovery. It is like shifting your body from self-destruction mode into repair mode. This is the pivot point where your health changes direction. To understand why this matters so much, we have to look at how scientists describe the damage. In laboratories, when researchers describe how sugar destroys nephrons, they often compare it to pouring thick, sticky syrup through a delicate coffee filter. The first time you pour the syrup, it might eventually seep through. But if you pour sticky syrup onto that same filter every single morning, sooner or later the mesh gets clogged. It gets stiff. It stops letting water through. Your nephrons are the same. We have about 1 million of these microscopic filters in each kidney. They are the most delicate, intricate structures in the human body. Excess sugar makes them stiff, sticky, and less elastic. Over time, the filtration membrane becomes damaged. Proteins that should stay in your blood start leaking into your urine. Gradually, this leads to chronic kidney disease, a process that cannot be reversed once it goes too far. The most heartbreaking part is that most people feel absolutely nothing while this is happening. No pain, no sting, no warning light. The kidneys just silently keep working until they can't. This is what doctors call the silent progression. When you finally notice symptoms, you're not in the warning stage, you are in the damage stage. Sugar is the culprit causing microscopic injury every single day, drop by drop, like pouring just one more spoon of syrup onto that fragile filter. It isn't dramatic, it isn't loud, but it is silently wiping out your ability to survive. Have you ever woken up with a puffy face, or felt that your legs were heavy and swollen at the end of the day? Most people immediately blame salt. They cut out the chips and the fries. But science shows that sugar causes water retention even more aggressively than salt does. Here's the mechanism that most people miss. When you consume a lot of sugar, your insulin levels rise. When insulin rises, it sends a specific hormonal signal to the kidneys. That signal tells the kidneys to stop excreting sodium and water and to hold on to them instead. Sodium is retained. Water is trapped. Total body fluid volume increases. Consequently, your blood pressure goes up. This explains why there are so many people with high blood pressure who are confused. They tell their doctors, "I don't eat salty food. I drink plenty of water." But they are drinking vanilla lattes, sweet tea, and eating processed yogurts every day. That is the real source of the pressure. The amazing thing is that when you cut sugar, this process reverses within weeks. It feels almost like magic, but it is just biology. Insulin levels stabilize. The kidneys get the all-clear signal to excrete that excess sodium. The trapped water is released. Blood pressure begins to drop. People report feeling physically lighter. The puffiness in the face disappears. The jawline looks sharper. The waistline shrinks, even if the scale hasn't moved much yet. Science calls this pressure unloading. You are physically releasing the hydraulic pressure from your vascular system and your kidneys. Then there is the issue of kidney stones. When Americans think of kidney stones, they think of dehydration or too much salty food. But recent research highlights sugar as a massive hidden driver of stone formation. Every time your blood sugar spikes, your body enters emergency mode to dump that sugar through your urine. But here is the catch. When the kidneys excrete sugar, they drag calcium out with it. This causes urinary calcium levels to skyrocket, creating the perfect environment for tiny microscopic crystals to form. In the beginning, these crystals are invisible. But if you consume high sugar every day, crystal stacks upon crystal, they harden. They turn into jagged stones. A study published in the Journal of Urology showed that people with a high intake of added sugar have a significantly higher risk of developing kidney stones. And if you have ever passed a kidney stone, you know it is a pain you never want to experience again. The sad reality is that if you have had one stone, your risk of another is very high, unless you change your diet. The good news: 30 days of cutting sugar shifts your urine composition toward a healthier profile. Less excess calcium, fewer crystals. Simply put, 30 days of discipline is the cheapest, most effective insurance policy you can buy to save yourself from agonizing pain. Now, let's talk about the most beautiful part of this entire story: repair. The kidneys have a limited but real ability to repair themselves. The heart cannot really do this. The brain definitely struggles with it. But the kidneys, to a certain degree, can bounce back. When you reduce sugar, the first thing that happens is a massive drop in inflammation. Sugar increases oxidative stress. It creates a fire inside your body. When you stop feeding the fire, the inflammation signals drop. It is like shutting down a smoldering blaze inside your house. In that fire-off state, the kidneys can finally start to repair tissue. Studies show that within just a few weeks of reducing sugar, some previously stressed nephrons can recover their function. This isn't magic, it is physiology. When the nephrons are no longer forced into overdrive, the glomerular membrane heals. Protein leakage in the urine begins to decrease. This is one of the earliest clinical signs that the kidneys are healing. Think of it like a city highway that is constantly gridlocked with heavy trucks. When those trucks stop rushing in all at once, the road crews can finally come out. They can fix the potholes. They can reinforce the bridges. They can patch the cracks. Your kidneys work the exact same way. All they need is for you to stop the traffic. It is vital to understand that your kidneys do not need you to be perfect. They just need you to be better. Every sugary soda you do not drink today is a deposit into a future where your kidneys stay alive longer. We often hear that sugar causes diabetes, but many dismiss this as a scare tactic. In medicine, this mechanism is undeniable. Type 2 diabetes does not appear out of nowhere. It develops after years of the pancreas being forced to produce more and more insulin to fight excessive sugar. The higher the insulin spikes, the more the kidneys get dragged into the battle. High insulin forces the kidneys to work harder, increasing filtration pressure. When you reduce sugar, insulin sensitivity rises. The body no longer needs to release massive surges of hormone every time you eat. This is the turning point. Most people in the pre-diabetic stage can actually reverse their condition, but only if they cut the sugar. And when the risk of diabetes goes down, the risk of kidney failure plummets. These numbers are not opinions. 40% of all end-stage kidney failure cases worldwide are caused by diabetes. It is the #1 reason people end up hooked to dialysis machines. You can take medication to lower your blood sugar, but no drug can replace the simple act of not dumping the poison into your system in the first place. When you cut sugar, you're hitting the disease chain right at the root. Most people think inflammation means a swollen ankle or a red cut on your finger, but the dangerous version is silent inflammation. No pain, no fever, yet it is the foundation of every major chronic disease. Sugar is the fuel for this fire. When sugar floods the bloodstream, the body produces free radicals that irritate your blood vessels and kidney tissues. The body reacts by increasing C-reactive protein, or CRP. If your doctor tests your blood and your CRP is high, your kidneys are living in a war zone. The miracle is that when you quit sugar, CRP drops fast. You will feel it on the outside before the lab numbers even change. Your skin gets brighter. The dark circles under your eyes fade. You have stable energy instead of the sugar high and the afternoon crash. When sugar goes down, the body no longer swings like an emotional roller coaster. Your mind clears. Your kidneys get a calm environment to do their job. There is a misconception that the body needs years to change. For the kidneys, a measurable difference can happen in just 30 days. This is not just a feeling. This is biological data. When sugar stays low, blood pressure drops, protein leakage stops, and filtration efficiency improves. All three of these are observed in clinical studies. Remember, the kidney is a filter. When you reduce the load, the filter lasts longer. Many people describe the feeling after 30 days sugar-free as having a lighter body. They sleep deeper. They wake up without that morning brain fog. That isn't a placebo effect. That is your body operating closer to its original design. 30 days is not the finish line, but it is long enough for you to see the truth. Once you witness this change in your own body, a natural question appears. If 30 days change this much, what could 6 months do? What could a year do? Most people start a 30-day challenge with a casual thought. Let me just try this. But what happens afterward is interesting. Many people simply do not want to go back. Not because they are forcing themselves to be disciplined, but because they feel the difference in every cell of their body. They are sharper. They are stronger. The sugar cravings no longer own them. This is not about motivation. It is about returning to your factory settings. 30 days is simply the door opening for you to see how perfectly your machinery can run when it isn't being hijacked by modern processed food. Once a person feels their body working smoothly, quietly, and cleanly, they don't want to lose that feeling. In preventive medicine, there is a powerful concept. Prevention is not about restriction. It is about giving the body the environment it needs to function. No sugar means lower insulin, less inflammation, and a drastically lower risk of kidney failure. It is a domino effect of health. So, do not look at this as a challenge of deprivation. Look at it as a switch in direction. You're moving from a body controlled by sugar to a body controlled by its natural biology. The question is no longer how do I stop craving sweets? The question becomes why would I ever want to go back to something that is silently destroying me from the inside out? You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to vow to never eat a slice of birthday cake again, but you deserve to experience the best version of your physical self. Your kidneys do not talk. They do not know how to complain. But they remember every choice you make. Just 30 days is enough for you to see how deeply your body appreciates a break. Give your kidneys those 30 days. After that, you can answer the question for yourself. Is the sugar really worth the price? Health is not something you fix once you are broken. Health is something you build with small decisions every single morning. Reducing sugar is one of those small decisions that changes your entire future. Not just for your kidneys, but for your heart, your brain, and your lifespan. You deserve a body that isn't fighting a war every time you eat breakfast. Start those 30 days today.